For a lot of us, saying I'm an artist out loud doesn't come easy. Maybe it feels too bold or too big. Perhaps like something only other people are allowed to say. The truth is, the moment that you call yourself an artist can be a turning point. In this episode of Gra-phite, we're talking about when that moment came for us. Hi, I'm Becky.
Augustia Deeve is Misha, and this is Gra-phite,
where we have honest chats about the ups, downs and everyday reality of being an artist in Ireland.
Welcome back to the pod, everybody. Today we are getting into it.
Yeah, we're doing our first themed episode. So from the wee blurb you heard about us talking about when we decided we were, proper artists, and when we labelled ourselves
artists with a capital A.
Yeah.
It's a bit scary to say that, isn't it?
Yeah, imposter syndrome central, so it is.
Absolutely, yeah.
We would just get started.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Do you remember the first time you called yourself an artist, Aisha?
I think it was when I was in primary school, probably.
Wow, overachiever over here.
Yeah, probably not seriously, but I always wanted to be an artist of some description. As I said in the last episode, it was something that brought me a lot of comfort in my life and that. So I think I remember probably, I'd say maybe primary 6, which is about 9? You'd be about 9 in primary 6.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was anyway.
Yeah, 9 or 10 or 9 going 10.
Depends on where you are in the world and that. But
still very wee though.
Yeah, very little. But I think I was very headstrong at that age, and I knew that at that age, yeah.
Still, I just learned how to be more chill about it.
Yeah, I think I just was that's what I want to do. I knew that I was pretty not to be boasting but pretty
advanced.
Academically gifted, I guess. I had a lot of reading and that sort of thing in terms of achievements in school, but I didn't really want to go down the academics route. I wanted to go into arts. So I think it was around then I remember saying to my nanny, I want to be an artist, I want to do that. I want to draw them things on TV, or I want to make outfits.
You had a
people.
vision, whereas I was I want to be a mummy.
Yeah.
Or I want to be Steve Irwin.
I mean, yeah. That's understandable. Steve Irwin, R.I.P. King.
I know.
Such
he was
a nice
my
man.
hero. I literally wrote a letter to him, not a real letter. Our teacher posed it as a literary challenge type thing to write a letter to your hero, and it was Illustrator around the edges and all. And I was I want to be a crocodile hunter.
That's so
no
cute.
Hope, fucking wee girl living in Warpoint.
In Warpoint.
No crocodiles here.
I mean, we were living in the end of the troubles, you know what I mean? It was a bit of a wild time where we were, but the most you were going to get is maybe a frog in the bog, you know what I mean? But or a jellyfish or something like that. But I mean, you could have made videos.
Stray kitten.
Yeah, those are vicious animals.
All right, here we've got a kitten with one eye.
So, these things come to us at a later stage, you can redirect, but, you never know, Becky, you could still
that's
be.
class. Obviously I don't know. It's nice to do this and learn things about you that I wouldn't, I don't know. You just
because we only knew each other as adults, I suppose. We didn't really get to know each other as kids and that, so. Because
I didn't really ever label myself an artist. I felt like you had to be a certain something to be an artist. Label yourself and say, I'm an artist. I don't think it was. I'd say probably in my early 20s.
Yeah.
Once I'd done all my art and took a big break and then really realised how much I needed it in my life, that I was no, I am an artist, and while I'm not fine art, I feel like the creative part of me, I should label that, because I was surrounded by people who were always I could never do that. Or even if something before I had my kids, and I went back to this job now, but I worked in a nursery and I would build stuff out of cardboard, to, I'd say a status that would be worthy of stage props, for children who were just going to wreck it. But it brought me joy and happiness, and people around me were whoa, how'd you do that?
Yeah, and I'm sure you in a way were bringing a little bit of joy and happiness to the kids by doing that as well.
I did. That's what drove me to really put that effort in, and I would make it to the point where they can't break it. Duct tape does magical things, but absolutely. I really was a lot older than you, and I didn't feel like I could, because I was looking at my mummy, who had done massive paint. Like our whole house is like, we have this really long, narrow little house. Everyone calls it the TARDIS. Like
I love that
my
house.
dad always jokes that it's the TARDIS, because from outside it's this really, like, you can, maybe it's like me 2.5 times if I put my arms out, like that way. And but it goes really, really, really far back. It's really, really long, and the whole place is just full of her paintings. Like she always dreamed of having gallery 14, because our house is number 14. And that would be her dream. Like, it's never gonna happen, but you know,
kind of is like a gallery going into your mum's house.
It is, and I don't even see the paintings because I'm just like blind to them now. Like,
I know,
but I've compared myself to her work and being like, oh, a real artist has all these canvases and has buckets and buckets of paints, and this is a certain way. And she's not a snob, and she would never have imposed that on me. That's just me looking at someone that I clearly admired and looked up to, and being like, that's an artist. I'm not an artist. I sit and draw on my computer all day, because like I got my first like tablet when I was like 14. And was I 14? Yeah, I was about 14. My first proper graphics. I got a Wacom Bamboo.
Icon. I had one of those too.
I was lucky though. You had the wee teeny tiny one. I had the like A5 one. Yours was like the tiny one.
Yeah, that thing, God love it. It was battered around the place, you know.
But yeah, no, that's interesting to see the difference in the mindset.
I think as well, it depends really what you're looking at. You know, like a lot of my influences were anime, cartoons, fashion. It wasn't really I would say fine art. I wasn't really exposed to fine art until I went to high school, you know, in terms of like beautiful paintings or whatever, or that kind of thing. It wasn't a world that I was really entrenched in. As I said, you know, my mum was artistic, but it was more like little doodles or kind of like around the house she would have painted, you know, on the walls and stuff like that.
Craft
the 90s was a
skills.
Great place for stencils on the walls, you know.
Yeah, my mum even did that too.
Yeah, I remember her painting like...
and I was looking at her like, what are you doing?
Yeah, no, mum loved a wee stencil, and then she would like paint over it to make it look better.
My mum,
though,
she would cut it out of cereal boxes.
Oh, yeah.
She would make her own.
Yeah, mum used to get like ones, and she would make like ivy on the walls. I remember our bathroom was like...
Oh, see, if you're ever in my mum's
ivy.
house anytime, if you look in our downstairs bathroom, it's all like ivy, like red and gold. Like,
yes,
like,
red and gold and green and like a navy
she
blue.
didn't even do that long ago, like not even in the height of the red living room style.
No.
Like she just was like, I have red paint, I don't like my bathroom right now. She takes away, instead of like rearranging furniture, my mum paints rooms and does stencils.
Iconic. Yes, Becky's mommy's a diva. You'll see her when you get in. She's in,
but also not
not in a like in a divalicious way, but she's just class, like, you know. But we and I'm like, mum always done that sort of stuff, you know, so that was really the only intro to paints and stuff. Like my mum, bless her, is a bit of a clean freak when it comes to things like that, and we weren't really allowed physical media around the house and stuff like that. So it was like pencils and colouring pencils were my forte. That was where I got my things. And also, as I said, with the media that I was into, it wasn't really, you know, paints aren't really the vibe, you know what I mean? So I said I wasn't really exposed to that kind of stuff until I was a bit older.
What was the first like fan art you did?
I think it was Sailor Moon. It's gotta be, yeah. I had a lot of Pokemon. I remember having a like how to draw a Pokemon book, but it was all very that kind of thing, you know.
Man, do you remember the how to draw manga?
Yeah, so bad. I actually got one of those recently, and it was so funny.
There's like the pointy chins and the like.
The
where is their jaw?
Chins. And these
so
people
bad.
have no neck stability at all.
I watched something about that recently though, and it was like a wee girl who did it. She was like 15, and they asked her to do it because nobody knew what the hell manga was or anything. And it just sort of like, it's really impressive actually that she did that.
I know, a whole book. Like, I hope she got paid well for it. Probably not.
Probably like £200.
Yeah, they were like, here,
couple
do that.
$100.
Your dad's writing a book, go and draw for him. You know what I mean? But that was sort
Sailor
of the first
Moon.
things that I'd ever done.
I'm still not really a fan art person, but whenever I was a teenager, I got mad into like Sonic OC roleplay, like nothing crazy, just like on the face, normal shit, nothing weird.
We all have our phases.
You know, she lives on, my original Sonic OC. I did actually some fan art of her recently, and I put her up in. I just had a couple of prints of her going at QCon, and people, because she's kind of trans colours, they were like, I love her. And I was like, I'm glad that you love her.
She is cool, like, yeah. She's nice and eye-catching, like her colours.
She's my favourite colours, pink and blue.
Pink and blue, you can't beat it, you know, the best colours going.
We have a wee list of questions here. The next one I have here is, Did anyone ever tell you that being an artist was a waste of time, and how did you respond?
Oh, yes, I have heard this several times throughout my life.
Who's the worst one?
Probably my mum, I'll be honest.
Oh, well, that doesn't surprise me.
You know, with mum, it was hard, but when I didn't get into university, I'll never forget it. I remember crying all day when I got my letter that I didn't get in, because, as I said, it was from when I was very young. I wanted to go to university. I wanted to do this. And I had only applied for the one university, just with money was tight and stuff at that time.
And had many people in your family been to uni?
No, nobody had been.
It was probably that pressure on yourself.
Well, my aunt had been, but I think it was more like she did college, you know, like it was like home, you know, like home, kind of like open university
it wasn't like
type
the
jobs.
university experience.
Yeah, none of them had gone away to go to uni, you know, so like, and because I had been so, like intellectually, appraised throughout my like school years, like people had said I should go to university and stuff. It was sort of, and the grammar school experience is you either get a job or you go to university. You know, tech wasn't really seen as an option, which is weird. I don't understand that, but
well, it's just the elitist mentality, isn't it? Like, what's the point in going to a grammar school if you're not going to be a doctor or like whatever, you know? And you were probably made to go to that school. You know, I was meant to actually go to your school, but I didn't. So but yeah, no, I wanted to go to a grammar school. May have been different. I know, crazy, but we ended up friends regardless. You know, we actually joke that maybe I wouldn't have liked you.
Exactly. You know,
and you wouldn't have been with your boyfriend.
No, exactly. So, but we basically, Mom, I remember her coming home from work, and I had like been crying all day. My eyes were swelled out of my head, and she just said in passing, you weren't good enough. And I don't think she meant it in a bad way. But I just think...
But it wasn't what you needed. You needed a hug and a cup of tea and just to forget about it for a minute, instead of her telling you all the things you were already thinking about yourself.
Like, I looking back at it, I wasn't good enough because my portfolio was all over the place.
Yeah, but you had no support.
But I didn't have any idea of what was needed, or, as I said, the school system didn't really set me up for that.
They really, like, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. Your portfolio... I was going to apply for schools down south as well, but they needed a completely different portfolio at the time.
I know, it's extremely irritating.
It's very, very difficult.
Like, the two sides should, on our island, like, amalgamate in some way so that poor wee children who just want to go to art school don't have to do extra work to apply to different unis. Like,
it's just too much, you know, and it's especially when you're already doing like several
subjects. And you had
subjects.
to physically make the portfolio as well. You had to mount everything and make it all neat and like...
Yeah. It's money thing as well, you know, like I just didn't have the money to be applying to these
even to
things.
have a nice portfolio to bring with you, like...
I remember going on the interview, like on the day of going up for it wasn't an interview for the school that I applied for, it was Ulster. It was a portfolio review, and I remember I just wasn't prepared because I had no clue, and there was no class teachings about it. I remember gluing stuff in.
This was when you were doing A-levels.
Yeah.
Because like, see, when I did my foundation degree, not for my foundation degree, there was some class in our equivalent A-level course that was like portfolio building, and it talked about sort of stuff they look out for, and like, it wasn't amazing, but it was something.
Like, we just didn't know what we were going into, do you know what I mean? It was basically you went in, said your name, handed over your portfolio, which is one of those big black art files with the plastic bits sticking out all over the place, and handed it in and just left, and that was it. You know, I didn't have any chance to explain myself or whatever, because I didn't know you were meant to do that, you know what I mean? You were meant to do that in a book, apparently, but...
Oh, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, like your sketchbook was meant to say that and all, like, that's the thing.
Oh, it was meant to be like
underprepared we were, like, you know what I mean? So it was never going to work out, and honestly, I actually think it's probably for the best that I didn't go to uni, because I feel like I would have got stuck in that elitist
you also might have ended up, like, you know, the way your foundation year went.
Yes.
You, like, imagine the way you would have felt, though, if you'd have like failed, I say that in quotations, uni the same way. Yeah, you know, exactly. Like, you might have really beat yourself up about it, even worse, whereas
it was bad already.
It was just tech. Yeah. You know, again, in quotations, but
I think, you know, because there was a lot more money behind university and stuff, and we just didn't have money. Do you know what I mean?
You would have been in debt for no reason. Like.
Exactly. I didn't grow up in an affluent family in any way, shape or form.
Yeah, same.
It was a struggle at times, you know, and my family did the best that they could by us, but it was just a case of I don't know if I would have done well there, but
I think a lot of people who do very well in those sorts of situations are people as well who know someone who's either gone through it,
yeah,
or works for the uni or whatever. Not like diminishing anyone's achievements by any means whatsoever.
yeah.
But do you know what I mean? Like, have some kind of inside knowledge that helps you get a wee leg up. Like,
Yeah.
this is what they look for in portfolios. This is something they really don't want to see. This is the way they want you to write your like statement, so that they're not bored to tears. Wee things that help you get there.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's it. You know, you just need to have a bit of influence, and I think unfortunately in the art world,
well, you had absolutely zero.
yeah, the art world, I think as well is there is a little bit of that nepotism really does help in things.
Yeah.
It might not get you
It's
to
not
exactly
even- yeah,
where you
it's
go,
just
but it just gives you an
knowledge.
extra wee bit of like,
Or even it can go as far as like, you know, people who get funding and get grants. Like, that's really complicated.
yeah.
And
I
like,
didn't even know that was a thing. Like, you know,
I have family members who are in different creative fields, and they know how to get all the grants for all the things, and have stuff like they don't even, you know, need. They're just like, oh, like I have this opportunity,
yeah,
and I'm gonna get this opportunity, and it's great, and I have this thing I can use, or have this connection or whatever. Like, I mean, go on, get it done.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think if I, you know, that would have helped a lot. But I think in that moment when my mum said that to me and was basically like, you know, go and get a job.
Basically, like, wise up.
Yeah, you know, I think she was trying to be practical about it. You know, she grew up in a working class family
totally
on the
void
border.
of, like, feelings.
Yeah, I think it just was something that really hurt my feelings at the time, and it stayed with me for a long time. And I didn't really know how to respond to that. You know,
well, you were. I mean, you were a
as
child.
You know, I was literally
you were at the
17,
beginning of your
you know.
journey. Like, she's like, no.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, just go and get a job. You know what I mean? Because that's what my mum had to do. Like, my mum didn't go to her A-levels or anything. And I think that's very much a border town at the tail end of the Troubles. That was the mentality of everybody here, was
survival. Like,
if you're not going to be good at it, you can't do it.
why,
do you know what I mean?
not just live
if
your
you're not
life
going to be
and
the
not
best.
like, don't be stressing. You know?
Yeah, exactly. So I
Life's
think
been stressful. No.
that was something that was the motivation behind that. I don't think there was malice in it. I don't think it was to try and shoot me down, but I do think it was something that stayed with me for a long time. And then
I think when it comes from someone so close,
yeah,
you're like, what am I doing? Why am I wasting my time?
yeah, it really made me think about it for a while, but I was very determined that I was still going to do it, you know. Like, I did go to tech the next,
You
know, that year instead, and I knuckled down and just did what I needed to do. But I think that is it stays in your mind, and it's not nice when someone says that to you, you know, where you doubt your passion and your dream
That's
for
kind of
your
what I
whole
felt
life.
like when my teachers were like, I don't get it. I'm like, what do you mean you don't get it?
For your tech course?
No, it was more in like GCSE art. That was
yeah.
when I mean, I've never had such a poignant experience as you, and I'm very lucky in the fact that so many of my family are artists, and I feel like they know it would be hypocritical to turn around and be like, oh, what are you doing? Like, why are you wasting your time? Instead, like, my mum's always been very encouraging, no matter what I do, even if it's I want to play violin for 2 months and then I give up violin or whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes I joke to her, I'm like, why didn't you push me more? I feel like I could be an amazing violinist. Like, no hope at all. I just know it's not true. But I don't really have that same kind of poignant moment as you. But yeah, no, I kind of got that vibe in GCSE art whenever I tried to explain my project to them. And obviously with GCSE art, you have to start from reality and you can end up conceptual. Now, they make you feel like, especially in my school, it was like, they don't really want to see any conceptual art. It's just drawing from reference. And then you go to the exhibition, and
it was all mad
True
stuff.
Colours
True
exhibition,
Colours.
and all the winning stuff was all highly conceptual art that came from a place of reality but ended up somewhere completely different. And it's like, this is why we don't win.
Yeah,
this is why our school never wins. What is this here? This is what I want to do.
Yeah, I remember going to that True Colours exhibition.
You're like, what?
And there was
These are GCSE kids?
Yeah.
What?
There was an amazing... I was very much into My Chemical Romance, and I still am. But I remember there was one of the winning things. She had like the most amazing, like, musically inspired
Yes, I think I
with,
remember
like,
this. It was like quite close to the entrance of it, I
yeah,
feel like.
and loads of like really bold colours and really bold choices. And I remember another project where someone had done like Polaroids of their friends, And then another one that was based on 13 Ghosts or 13 Candles. You know that movie?
And these were people that were allowed. The teachers go, you
do whatever you want.
You do you. I will just facilitate it and make sure it's meeting the criteria. You do you.
As
Like,
long
that
as it
is what
doesn't-
every art teacher should be like.
Absolutely. I think,
Instead of making us into little, like, I don't know, photocopiers, basically.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point of that?
Yeah, I really can't cope with the creative stifling, I guess it is, that goes on in a lot of schools, particularly here in the north. I don't have any experience or any knowledge of what went on in schools in the south, so I can't really comment on that. We might be able to get a guest on sometime.
that'd be nice.
I'll talk about that. But up here, it was very much you did it for your school, whatever your school's rules were.
How do we make the school scores look good?
Yeah, and then they would take, I'll never forget one of our teachers talking about, like, her son in a different school who was doing it. I went to a girls' school, just for context, and her son was in a different school, and he was one of the, like, really high scorers in it and stuff, and she was like, you know, almost funneling ideas towards him instead of into her students. Do you know what I mean? And I mean, that's her son, whatever, but it was very awkward to hear that from someone that's meant to be guiding you and be like,
You
where
didn't
am I
respect
going?
them.
Do you know what I mean?
You just sort of did
It's a long story there.
did what you needed to do and ignored their input
Yeah.
where possible.
Yeah, I think
Kind of what I felt like with my teachers as well.
a lot of that pressure of being like the best or needing to like exceed. If they didn't understand your vision, you were dropped and you wouldn't be able to be pushed, and then they would say, well, there's no point. Do you know what I mean? You'd almost be discouraged in that way as well.
Yeah, because my GCSE project started with animals and stuff, and then because I told her that I wanted to do a project based, like my final piece, I wanted it to be a big art piece to do with like fantasy creatures.
That would be
And
class.
she was like, okay, well, you need to do studies of animals then that'll funnel into those fantasy creatures. But didn't really give me much other input. And then when I did my interpretation of what she told me, she was like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, you don't get it.
You don't have to get
It's
it.
art.
Yeah, exactly.
You're an art teacher. Surely you understand that it is subjective. You don't have to get it. You just have to go, well, that's not for me.
Yeah.
That's not for me.
I mean, you know, that's a point that they should have been teaching you as
Yeah,
well. You know
like-
that not everybody's art is for you and that sort of thing, but they don't.
There's something for everybody. But yeah, no, that's the only time I can think of that I've come remotely close to that kind of experience, but thankfully not like your own. And yeah.
I'm glad. I remember you telling me before about your mum saying to you to do the art first before anything else. Like, if you were going to go into your childcare or whatever to do your art.
Yeah, I discussed with her like my reality options, because I think I'm far more realistic than my mum in most cases. Like, she's far more dreamy than me, but she still is grounded in reality. She's not like a loopy-loo, like, but she's got good advice when you ask her, and I was like, I don't know what to do. And she said to me, it was at the end of my art foundation where I was feeling a bit disillusioned by it all because of the mark I got, and I know how much effort I'd put in, and I was just so disappointed that whoever marked it didn't feel that through it. And she goes, well, look, you've given it a really good try. She says, you've got your foundation now, so if you ever want to do a degree, you can go on ahead and do that. But do your childcare. That's what you want to do. It's only a year. You'll always have it. And then you can go back and finish whatever. Like, she there was never this like, oh, well, you've fucked that up. Like, oh, you can't do that anymore. She's always been so chill out. Like, it's no be all or end all. As long as you're happy, do what it is you need to do, you know. And I think that's really good advice. And she's just not she's not full of pressure. She's, you know, it's nice. I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm lucky.
Yeah, I know. It's nice that you know, you have that sort of foundation of support, and that
Don't beat yourself up.
Yeah, you know, and she, you know, she knew that you would go back to it eventually. I bet, you know, I knew that you knew, I'd say, in your own heart that you would go back to it even if you did take a break of it. Do you know what I mean? It's part of you.
I just didn't know what it would look like.
Yeah.
I'm still not really sure, honestly.
No. And I don't think anybody ever does until they're, you know, even in their later years, I would say. Do you know what I mean? So
comfy in themselves.
Absolutely. So what do you think about the definition of an artist, or has it changed over time for you, or what do you think yourself?
I suppose, yeah, because when you're a child and you think, oh, an artist is like Da Vinci and like people who can do amazing drawings of things that look real, and it's kind of that when you see creative people or uncreative people, should I say, who they value realism and they value all that sort of stuff. I feel like it's similar as a child. You're like, oh wow, imagine I could replicate this photograph and everything. And so as a child I was like, that's an artist. An artist is someone who is like so good at what they do. An artist is, that's all they do. They draw.
Yeah,
they're really good at that. They really know what their creative voice is and blah blah blah. And like, but I don't know, like now I feel like an artist to me is someone who thinks outside the box, isn't afraid to fumble around for a while. And I don't know, I don't really know, like it's because I've known as the years have gone on and I've made more contacts and stuff, and we're all so different. But we all have like this understanding of each other, like why we need to create. I feel like an artist is like, if you don't create, you'll spiral into depression. You know, like it's a personality trait. I feel like
agree.
More than a proclamation, you know, like it's a,
we're Sims.
It's
coded into us.
Whenever we were born, that was one of the little boxes that were checked for us. But I think that's would be how minds change. Like, what do you think?
I would say the same, you know, but we grew up in the era of DeviantArt. So I think, you know, a lot of the time when we were kids growing up,
to be an artist is to be lowish.
You had to be like this icon online who was like, you know, really killing the game essentially. And if you were just doodling in your sketchpad, you weren't really good enough. You couldn't call yourself that sort of thing. That's where the imposter syndrome comes in for me. But now that I've grown up and like, you know, we're in our 30s now, but you know,
actually I'm very comfy in my 30s, I must say.
I'm happier now in my 30s than I was in my 20s, you know what I mean?
So, people think that 20s is like the place to be, but actually no, because 30 is like 20, except you kind of don't give a shit. You kind of know who you are kind of more as a person as well, do you know what I mean? Your brain's developed a wee bit more, but I think, you know, as a teenager growing up, and that was quite a toxic community. I think that's the only voices you're getting. I was lucky in that my mum was very in tune with me, and I always valued her opinion over anyone else's first. So I'm grounded in that way. But I think if like yourself was kind of the only input you were getting, do you know?
It was crazy, do you know what I mean? Like you were literally uploading like some wee drawing that you thought was class and you'd spent hours on, and then someone come into your comments and tear you to shreds over it.
See, I just got silence. I didn't even get negative comments.
I remember someone.
But people who take the time to do that actually are jealous of something.
Yeah, I think so too.
They've seen it and it's made them feel something, and they're like, oh.
Something that we have seen over the years, particularly just in Ireland, obviously with it being such a small community and a small microcosm of different artists and stuff like that, it's very easy to see the older generation, and you know, before the internet was a thing and before things were shared so much, their sort of ideas of what an artist is very different to our own. And I think especially now in the age of AI generated images, which I won't even justify calling artists, because they're just not. And I think now my definition of an artist is someone who can innovate, same as yourself, sort of. They're able to think outside the box, and they work within their own niche, and they're able to
like, I consider like the likes of engineering or something like a kind of art.
It's kind of an art,
like,
same thing with cooking and stuff like that.
I couldn't design like a toaster.
No, absolutely. No. You have to be able to think and put a bit of the world into your work. I think that's, for me, an artist is somebody who can look at the world and express their heart and soul into their work. And it might be something, it could be a silly wee doodle on a page, or a comic strip of like their favorite character or something like that. It doesn't have to be serious, but if you put a bit of the light in your life basically into your work, I think that makes you an artist. Yes, because there's a lot of people whose work they can maybe go in and they can draw and they have the most technical skill
but it's kind of lifeless,
but there's no soul behind it, and I just don't think that really makes
it goes with the whole, do you know, if someone's like, oh, I really like this image, and then they discover it's AI art and they're like, oh, I don't like it.
It like really gives me the,
because it made them feel something, and like for me a lot of the interest is in why did you make that, where did that come from, who are you, and then you're like AI, and it's like, oh, I don't know. Okay, bye. Like definitely with the dawning of AI and the NFTs and stuff like, although
they've really
That's
fallen
a whole
off.
other
Thank
discussion.
goodness.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm kind of hoping the AI art goes similarly, but I don't see the trajectory is.
No, I
I
think
don't know,
people are
it's
too
different
comfortable
monster.
with it. I think it's a
I
lot
think
more
there's enough
accessible
people,
for the general
a lot
public.
of people who aren't uncomfortable with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. You know, whereas if
Like I have friends who use it to make memes, and I'm like, stop, and they're like, it's just a meme, and I'm like, stop.
it's not, you know, but that's a whole different discussion. I'm sure we can
Let's
get
not
into
go
it
down that
deeply.
rabbit hole right
But
now.
I think that has really made me look at it and be like, what is an artist? And that can be, you do not have to have any technical skills at all. If you're happy doing it and you are finding joy in working with that and being able to express yourself in a way, that's an artist to me. You know, you could be using any medium, you know, whether that is literally Play-Doh or whatever you want to do, you know, to the finest paints and brushes that you can buy. You don't have to be the richest or the best at your game.
Most artists are
you know.
poor and undiscovered until they die, and then
Exactly.
like I always think of like Van Gogh, like he's
Yeah, exactly.
tragic and
Per man, like, you know. But there's so many people here in this island who are probably living, you know, up a mountain somewhere or away in a forest, or, you know what I mean, they're living on the bog basically. And
by bog we mean the land, not the
yes,
toilet.
not the toilet.
That too, though, you know.
A marshland.
I hide from my children in the toilet.
Yeah, you know, exactly. Yeah, you're an artist in there too, Becky.
No, I'm brain dead on reels in
Yeah.
there. Like.
But you know, these people might not have the they're not living in an art scene in such a case as what's happening in Dublin or Belfast.
This actually
or,
rolls into the next question beautifully.
oh yeah, you know, but they are still as like valid of an artist as anyone else who's out living in an arty life, basically. You know.
Yeah. Although,
Mhm.
like, is there spaces that you feel like around certain people, or spaces that you feel more like an artist?
Yeah, probably.
Because I am living, like, do you see when I did my art foundation, or when I did my course I did after that, I really, really thrived and felt so arty with other people in a studio, like
Yeah.
in that university kind of setup where you had your own little table and like people that you could turn around to and go, what do you think about this here? I'm really stuck on this idea.
Yeah.
Like when I'm around other creatives and they can see it in a different perspective, and really just like when I'm like doing something and I send it to you and I go, I'm really stuck. Why am I stuck? And then you go, oh well, this is weird, or like it could just be an eye is wonky or something, but I'm
Yeah.
not vibing because the eye's wonky, but I can't see it. Or I fire some ideas. I have a few like moments in my mind. I'm thinking of, I turn around to my studio mate who's beside me in the studio and just gone, oh, what do you think about this? Or whatever. And then they go, that's good, but what if you added this to it?
Yeah.
And it's kind of that natural collaboration without much thought. I feel like being around and collaborating on a very general, chilled out level with other artists is what makes me feel more like an artist.
I agree with you, and honestly, see, that's what this community that we're trying to build is about as well. You know, especially during the lockdown, like there was nobody around. You know what I mean? I couldn't see people for months and months and months, and for some people they haven't been able to leave still because they're disabled or they're maybe not well and they're not able to get out, or they live in the middle of nowhere and they don't have access to it. And I think being able to stick into that chat, you know, our server, as we mentioned in the previous episode, we are mods of a server of Irish artists.
Discord.
Discord server, sorry.
Yeah.
You know, that has changed things for me massively, because I really feel like my work is appreciated in there, or even if it's like a wee doodle, like someone's always there to be like, oh, that's class, or I love this idea, and to give you a wee push in the right direction, sort of thing, you know. So that and working at conventions is a really big thing for me. When someone comes up to my table,
I actually feel a disconnect at a convention.
Yeah.
Because you're not mingling with the creatives, really. You're mingling with your customers.
Yeah.
And I get quite by the end of a convention, I'm like, oh, I didn't get to talk to anybody. Because you're all working and you're all busy and you're all exhausted because you had to travel halfway across the country with your suitcases and then build your stall and all.
Absolutely, yeah. I think for me though, like personally, I really like the interactions with the customers, because for me, when someone comes up to my table and their eyes light up at my work, that fills me with energy. Do you know what I mean? Like I get that like wee like buzz of, oh my god, somebody actually really likes my work. It could be an original piece. I've had literally like little kids come up and buy original pieces off me, and I was like,
I know the wee kids at your table are always so cute,
so nice, you know. Or like
I'm a sucker for giving kids free stuff.
Oh yeah, love it. At the last market,
she came up to me and she had a little cat t-shirt on, and she was just like, oh my goodness, like looking at my stickers.
She's
like
so cute.
I think she knows she's cute, and I was like, which cat would you like?
She came back
and
to me.
She's like, this one. And her mummy's like kind of embarrassed and like, oh, thank you.
Yeah, her mum, she was buying a notepad off me, but she wanted like a more expensive one, and her mum was like trying to get her a little one. So, but to try and please her, I had some like out of stock stuff that I wasn't wanting to sell anymore, and I give her it, and her little face just lit up. It was so cute. Like that really means a lot to me, because that could make her go on to be an artist someday. You know,
or even just go on, like, you know, maybe it's a core memory, like, oh
yeah,
I remember how that felt, I'm going to be that person for other people.
Yeah, exactly. You know, these things.
Some random girl gave me free stuff and it was great.
Yeah, you know, I think being kind to younger people as well, like that come up to my table, and making them feel like they could do it is something that's really important for me.
I actually spoke to a lovely guy at that wee market, and he was just kind of sussing it out. He kind of alluded to the fact that he would love to get there at some point, and he was so lovely and open, and you could tell it was maybe not something he was super comfortable doing, like walking up to people and asking them advice. And we had a lovely chat for about 15 minutes. Yeah. And I was just like, you just got to draw. He was like, how do you get better and how do you do this? And I was like, you just got to do it. Yeah. This is just, you don't have to be me. I've done this a few times. I was like, don't be intimidated by my stall. Like, I've bought all these bits over a few years, and you know, XYZ, and I was like, you just need a table and some bits to put on your table, and obviously go for a table that's not going to cost you the world. Small. Like, start small. I told him sort of the prices of what the table was. Like, I'm always so open about money too, because I am always intimidated by how much is this going to cost me, and people are always really surprised whenever I'm so open with the money. Like, I'll not like say exactly how much I made, but I'll be like, this table cost me this much and I've made it back and then some. You know, like I'll tell them how much the table costs at least. But yeah, like I
think that's a really good segue into the next wee thing that we were wanting to talk about advice for people who don't feel like they deserve the label of being an artist. You know, realistically for me, like there's nobody who doesn't deserve the label of being an artist. Anyone is capable of
unless
being
you're
an
AI artist.
And AI artists don't exist, but we're anti-AI. But you know, anyone who calls
we're pro people.
We're pro people. We're anti-AI. You know, but I think, you know, the argument that comes up with that, for example, is a lot of people being like, well, I can't draw. Or
neither could I
can't do it as good as I want. You know,
neither could. I mean, I can't do it as good as I want.
Do you know still, what I mean? Exactly. You know, literally, people like Van Gogh was beating himself up over this as art. Do you know what
wrong.
I mean?
It's all wrong. Yeah, exactly. No, I've had a major like art block recently too. So I keep drawing everything, and I'm like, why is it so ugly?
Yeah. Oh, it's the worst. You know, but like for me, the advice that I would give is just to keep going. You know?
Same.
You just have to practice. You know what I mean? You have to draw a million horrible things for one good thing sometimes, and then after that you might get into a wee, you know, rolling, you know, a wee roll, and you can get on to doing another good thing and another good thing, and then you might have a bad one again. You know, I
think it's a mentality thing. You know, like we just soldier on.
It's stamina.
We keep going, but also like explaining to somebody that you don't always have to be the most inspired person or actually creating stuff all the time, every time. Like, it's very important to like do other things. Like my two kids really obviously take up a lot of my time, so I don't have an awful lot of time to like fill up my cup again. And I really notice how that's changed the way I can work, you know, like I've always been someone who can bash out a finished paint, like digital painting, in like maybe 5 hours or something, but obviously I can't do that now. My time is different, and so I really took to designing stickers recently, and like but that's all I had the headspace to do, because I just haven't had time to refill up my cup creatively. Like I haven't been able to go on experiences or whatever, just money and time and whatever. And it's really important to also not just be creative, but to do those things for yourself that you enjoy, whether that's like something on your own that you really enjoy, or I really need to be with people to fill me up. Like after like QCon and stuff, I really do feel, even though I'm physically exhausted, mentally very refreshed and very ready to draw. And seeing everybody else's work makes me go, oh man, I want to make stuff like that. And like,
yeah, that's so cool.
yeah,
I get that. You know,
it's like, don't put pressure on yourself to be like what you feel is an artist. Just be you and create stuff and do your best.
If I can advise anybody of anything, it's to have your own niche. You know, when it comes to art, when everybody's doing the same thing, it doesn't, nobody likes it, and everybody's bored, and you know, they don't buy it. Not even down to sales, but like they just don't buy into your work because they're seeing it from everyone else.
Make stuff you want to buy.
Yeah, if you're doing something that you really love and you can show that you're passionate about it, then people will be interested, whether you're selling it or whether you're just posting it online or even just for yourself. You know, you kind of need to love it. Do you know what I mean?
You gotta hone your taste.
Yeah, and I would say to absorb as much as you can.
Within reason though, I find I get actually very bogged down. Do you know, like if I consume too many studio vlogs or something, I'm
no,
I'm
I don't mean like
man,
that.
Like, oh,
I would say
that's a moment of where I don't feel like an artist, because I see people. Do you know, I'm so jealous of people in like those collective studio environments, because I know how much I thrive in that. And I'm like, oh man, I wish I was doing that. And there's not really anything like that locally. Plus, it costs money, and I don't have any time. And it's so much easier to just work out at home, you know. But like,
it's a big investment.
That's what gives me my imposter syndrome when I'm like, look at them, they're a real artist.
I don't even mean down to art. I just mean like going out into the world, or reading a book, or listening to a bit of music, or having a nice cup of tea, and how that makes you feel.
Replenishing your soul.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like having a nice day. Like there's days where I've had the worst week ever, and then I'll come to Becky's house and we'll just natter about rubbish.
Like this week wasn't great.
Yeah, exactly. I've had a really
but I was like, come on, we need to start this podcast, and I bet you'll feel better.
Yeah, no, I definitely do. Do you know what I mean? And it's something that for me, being with people that refill me in terms of energy and happiness, and who actually want to listen to me, and or that I want to hear from myself, or do you know, that kind of thing. That is what fills my creative cup, I guess, with energy. Do you know what I mean? And it makes me want to go away and go, I'm so inspired after talking to Becky about this project, or even just talking about rubbish, as I said, you know, like if we're just nattering.
Having a therapy session, you've replenished your emotional baggage.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? And I feel...
You've left it at my door.
Yeah, exactly.
Not in a bad way.
But like, you know, even here's cozy. If I come here, I'm warm and I can have a nice cup of tea, and
you can say whatever you want. I'm not going to get mad at you.
Yeah, exactly. And it's
and we're recording these conversations.
Yeah, exactly.
I hope you're enjoying this.
Yes. We are very much similar people in that way, that we do get our energy
that
refilled.
Feeling of family, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know, where we can go away and be like, I had such a nice time there, and now I feel like I have the energy to go and do something.
Someone's got my back.
Yeah, exactly. So
I can do it.
That's a big thing for me. I would just say, do whatever makes you happy, in terms of whether, as I said, it's media that you're consuming. Don't try and take in what other people are saying too much. You know,
nobody's opinion but yours matters.
Yes.
I mean, why do you feel like you don't deserve to be an artist?
Yeah.
Like, why?
Exactly.
When you really think about it, you're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because there's no reason. You just have you have that imposter syndrome situation. You're comparing yourselves to people who have 12, 15 years experience.
Yeah.
Like the guy that came up to me in the market and was asking me, and he was like, oh man, and I even looked on Instagram, and his stuff was relatively good, like for the stage that he was at. And I was like, don't look at me. I've been drawing since I was like, seriously, since I was about 8 years old.
Yeah.
And and he used to draw as a kid and then got out of it, and then he was getting back into it in like his late 20s, and I was like, do not compare yourself to me. Find someone who's at the same level as you and become friends with your peers, you know, like be at the same stage. Like me and you are at the same stage. Like,
that's the thing, you know, join communities.
Yeah.
Go out and find people like yourself, you know, like that's the big thing with our community, with our Discord server. There's people of all skill levels. There's people who are working for Magic the Gathering and doing like literally modern masterpieces. There's people who are working in comics and are writing amazing stories and doing that every week. There's people who are drawing in their sketchbooks every week and they're happy enough with that and they don't want to do any work like that. There's people who are just learning to draw and are starting with small things like that and you know, are asking for advice. And I love seeing everybody's opinions and hearing about why, you know, what makes them go and that kind of thing. And that, I feel like that's very important for artists who aren't confident in themselves to experience and to see. It's not about that everybody's made it, because I can tell you it's a very few people who have made it as an artist in quotations.
They made it, we mean like that's their full career. They get paid loads of money. They're
and making
whatever.
A fortune. Do you know what I mean? Very few artists ever make a fortune. Do you know what I mean? Or even make enough to live on. Do you know? And that doesn't mean that you're not an artist. Do you know what I mean? You could literally make nothing for the rest of your life and you will still be an artist if you put your heart and soul into it, basically.
That's a lovely way to wrap it all up.
I think so too.
I really enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah, so did I. It was a nice insight into the way that your mind works with your experience of being an artist as a youngster as well. I like that. It's nice.
We've learned a bit about each other.
Imagine after all these years.
I'm going to enjoy doing this podcast.
Yeah.
You're so interesting.
Oh, so are you.
All right, everybody.
Bye.
We shall speak to you again next time. Goodbye.
Gra-phite is brought to you by the Emerald Isle Artists Collective. This podcast is about people like you, folks making art, telling stories and figuring it out with gra and grit.
Share the episode, leave a review, and if you want to share your thoughts or your work, give us a shout at info@emeraldisleartist.org. Thanks for listening to Gra-phite. Goodbye for now.
Slán.